Happy Tuesday. It's time for Coffee and Cursey Words. And we have a lot of quick topics to cover today. I am going to be covering briefly the Kardashian West divorce filing, the Shia LaBeouf answer in the FKA Twigs assault, lawsuit situation. Briefly, the new PPP loan details, because y'all voted, you asked. We're going to get to court of public opinion ruling, and we're going to talk a little bit about defamation, because I have been asked a lot if what happened on Real Housewives of New Jersey last week is defamation. If you don't watch Real Housewives, it's okay. We're going to do a little clip and we're just going to talk about it really generally. So we have lots of topics to cover. I'm going to let y'all vote in the chat which one you want first. And for the replay gang, hi, there will be timestamps down below. So hopefully you can't hear the construction going on outside of my house, but if you can, it's life. The snow is gone, so my neighbors are pouring a pool. I'm very excited about this, but it might be a little bit loud. And for that, there is not much I can do. We've got new light going on, and I am ready to jump right into it. Hopefully you brought your coffee. Hopefully you brought coffee. I brought the Cursey. I brought the Cursey words. You have the coffee. I have the coffee. I need more coffee. Clearly. Let me know what you want to cover first, and we're going to just get right into it. Let's go. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. We are here live. I'm live. I'm here live. Wait. I'm live. I'm not a cat, but I'm live. I'm ready to go forward. Are we ready to go forward? I think we should go just forward like this. Do we go forward like this? Let me know in the chat. I'm not a cat. I'm here live. Your Honor, I'm here live. I am not a cat. I am a lawyer. I am not a cat lawyer. I don't know. Y'all want to hear from Kimye first. So we should probably not do that as a cat. We should probably, maybe we should bring the cat back later. Maybe we should just do it like this. I couldn't resist. And our amazing friend of the channel, Mod Squad member and editor Tech Valor has absolutely helped me figure out how to make that happen for y'all, because we just need a giggle sometimes. Look, there's no fuckery today. We're just talking about other shit and celebrity shit, and we're just going to have a giggle. That's what today is for. That's what Coffee and Cursey Words is for. We are going to talk about Kimye first. Then we're going to talk about Shia LaBeouf, whoever. Then we're going to talk about the PPP. Then we're going to quickly cover Real Housewives of New Jersey. And then we're going to get into questions. So if you have questions, let me know as we get to the end, and I'll do all the questions at once. It makes it easier for the replay watchers. It makes it way easier for me to timestamp, just to be honest. So yes, I will. I love Monty Python so much. And I think I've seen the history of the word fuck, but I think it's been a while. So let's get into our first topic. Somewhere in there, we're also going to do court of public opinion. We'll probably do that not probably. It's my show. Emily, you get to choose what order we do things in. We're going to do that. We're going to do that right before we get into questions so we can have more discussion about it. So let's get into Kim and Kanye's divorce. Topic number 1. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West have filed for divorce. Here's the thing. No matter what you may think of Kim or Kanye or their celebrity or what they do with their brands, Kim's brand is highly problematic, from cultural appropriation in everything from clothing, makeup, hairstyles, dress, the kimono thing, all of it. Yes. We are talking about the divorce in the realm of celebrity and how divorces work. There are court documents filed. We cover celebrity court documents here, amongst other things, but they are still parents of 4 kids. And with that, there is an appropriate amount of not poking fun that I think is warranted, because at the end of the day, these are 2 very big businesses that are separating. This is more like a dissolution of business than a dissolution of marriage based on how much money is involved. Yes, there are emotions involved. We're not going to talk about the emotional side of who did what or Kanye West's mental health. We're not talking about any of that. If you want to hear thoughts on Kanye, I have other videos. I talked in length about his Joe Rogan interview, which I quite liked. But that aside, what we are dealing with is essentially the breaking apart of multiple businesses, how those businesses will be divided, and how custody of the children will be divided, and who gets what property. What we've learned from this that's really interesting to me is that Kim owns the property of their massive house that they've remodeled. And if you watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it was like they bought a house, they weren't moving into the house, she was living with her mom, it like all kinds of stuff. But the house in like the Calabasas Hidden Hills area, she owns the properties around it too. So it is an estate, but she owns the land. He owns the physical house. He also owns something in Wyoming. Do they probably own more properties? Probably. Do I know what those are? Nope. Does it matter for our purposes? Also, nope. Kim Kardashian has multiple business lines. She has all of her work with KKW Beauty. She also has branded very heavily around the Kim Kardashian West name. So I think part of this divorce will absolutely touch on her rights to the name. I don't think Kanye will give a fuck if she continues to use Kim Kardashian West. But what would be interesting is if Kanye licenses the right to use the name. But it is her legal name. It can be still her legal name. It's her business name. I don't know if that would come up. It's kind of next level petty. And we've seen this with Jaclyn Hill. She's kept Jaclyn Hill. She's been divorced, over a year plus now. It's your legal name. So it doesn't really matter the origin of the name. It's your legal name. It would be interesting if that comes up at all in this, just like Emily, point of curiosity. Then you have all of Kanye's business entities and dealings, music that was made during the course of the marriage. Does the prenuptial agreement talk about what happens with music made during the course of the marriage? Generally in marriages, particularly when we're talking about California, everything during the time of the marriage is community property unless something else says otherwise. So businesses that are started, debts that are owed, these kinds of things all are property of the marriage. But if their prenuptial agreement was clear, which it may well have been, that Kanye's businesses and music are Kanye's, Kim's businesses and not music, but Kim's businesses and earnings from the TV show and whatever else are Kim's, it's pretty easy to then separate those assets and then have the conversation about property, joint custody, and things like that. And that's where I really think we will not see much of this divorce play out in the media unless Kanye takes to Twitter to talk about it. I think that this has been a PR play from the beginning, and we're getting into that new realm of lawsuit where lawsuits are really becoming PR, and lawsuits are becoming a way to get information out into the public in a controlled format. We saw this with that initial Page 6 leak that they were separated. I think that's pinning the data separation. Kim has a very good, very savvy, divorce. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. Divorce attorney in Laura Wasser. This was her divorce attorney in her previous divorce. I don't know if it was her previous 2 divorces. This was her previous divorce attorney with the Chris Humphries divorce. We've watched Kim go through a number of divorces. So with this, the things I think that will be interesting to see are what's going to happen with custody. The filing, it is alleged to say 50-50. That filing is not available on the public website. I'm not surprised by that, but it's not. So that will likely be 50-50. The prenup will likely govern most of the things. And we know that that's been leaked, that there's a prenup to Page Six. It's been leaked to other media outlets. Laura Wasser is very smart with getting a controlled story out there. I also think that Kris Jenner, say what you want about Kris Jenner, but Kris Jenner is very smart and savvy when it comes to controlling the information that gets out into the public eye. And she does that well. So I believe that the leaks about the date of separation and stuff that came from Page Six from Laura Wasser were in part to help protect Kanye and Kim, well, Kim's lawyer, to protect Kim from debts that are coming from Kanye's side. And that I think will also be very interesting. There are numerous lawsuits right now against Kanye West. And we're just going to pull one of these up real quick. Of course, my screen sharing is not ready. Why would it be ready? Never, ever would be ready because, we're professionals. So this is been reported widely that there are two lawsuits facing Kanye West. Well, probably facing his company, but I will dig into those if you guys are interested over Sunday Service. Sunday Service is Kanye's performance / church / we all have to wear monochromatic outfits situation. And these are alleging that over 1,000 performers and backstage staff were not paid and not properly paid. Look, California's got a lot of rules. Y'all, look, California is not playing with the way you're allowed to hire people. A lot of these things were going down after AB5, where if you're putting on a musical performance, those musicians are supposed to be employees. There are a fuck ton of labor law rules in California. Not all states have as many. California has a bunch. So I imagine with this going on, you will probably also see the state of California looking into whether people were hired properly, because if they weren't, the fines are really fucking big because California. So these lawsuits, they say up to 1,000 performers, then they say 500. There are two lawsuits. So we're in that range. The lawsuits are regarding various Sunday services and this Nebuchadnezzar Hollywood Bowl opera from November 2019. People didn't get paid. People didn't get breaks. These are all allegations from this lawsuit. If you guys are interested in a deep dive into the two Kanye West employment law lawsuits, we haven't covered a lot of employment law. Look, y'all, to get away from defamation maybe would be a breath of fresh air. So if you're interested in doing a dive into these lawsuits, let me know in the comments or in the chat that you are interested in this, and I will pull these employment law lawsuits and kind of go over them. But there are overtime wages being alleged, meal and rest break periods being alleged. Those are all things that have to be provided. And if they're not provided, it's pretty easy to win a lawsuit if that is accurate. So these tend to be factual things that aren't as difficult to prove as some other lawsuits. It's like, did you get break times? Did you get appropriate rest times? Were you hired as a contractor when you should have been an employee? A lot of these things can be factually based, but there are standards to break them down. And there are pretty clear standards to break a lot of these things down. So a source told The Sun, quote, when you do things last minute, it's disorganized, mistakes will happen. When Kanye West does a production, he just says to his guys, make it happen. He has different teams of people to do things. And when you're under that amount of pressure, you cut corners. Anything with film or music production, they do the art first. It's a case of let's get the production done and worry if it's legal later. Well, that's not going to go well. But there is a lot of speculation online that these two lawsuits are part of what prompted Kim Kardashian and her PR team to go after that date of separation. What it looks like, though, is that these were filed in 2019. Or relating to events in 2019. So it would be hard to say that Kim is really shielded from the debts from these. However, if the divorce breaks down, that his businesses stay with him, and this is him and his businesses being sued, then these would follow along with that business and with him personally. That's something that can be negotiated in this divorce. So we're going to probably not see a ton. What I imagine happened, this is Emily speculation. What I imagine happened is that they have been negotiating this divorce behind the scenes for a while now. They knew it was going to leak because we didn't see a huge reaction from Kanye or anyone on his team. He was already in Wyoming. They knew it was going to come out. Okay, this is the date of separation. I think that this is an ongoing negotiation behind the scenes, that they will file it in court. They will work out a resolution. They will bring the resolution to court and be like, this is what we're doing. And the judge would be like, cool, cool. You need 6 months before it's final. See you all later. I imagine that that's how this divorce will play out. I don't want to say Kim's a professional at getting divorced, but she's been down this road before. She has an attorney that she trusts and has worked with before. And I get the vibe from Kanye that he's happy to be in Wyoming, that he's done with the BS that comes with part of being in the Kardashian family. And he, though he might be upset about the breakup of the relationship, he might not be as upset about the breakup of this business entity that is the Kardashian West line of products. So really seeing how these businesses break down is going to be the most interesting for me. The custody stuff is always sad. You've got 4 kids that are going to be splitting time. I mean, to be fair, it's not what most of us would go through in a divorce. They're going to be like, okay, well, put them on the private jet and send them to Wyoming. They'll be there in 2 hours. It's not going to be the onerous type of a divorce that most people would go through just because of the money and the access, but it's still kids who aren't going to have their parents living together. Though with the way that Kim and Kanye both work, I don't know, and I don't know if any of us know, how much they've been in separate places throughout their marriage anyway, just based on work. And if that's what is normal for the kids, dad's working here, mom's working there, and they're kind of used to being with their own support team. I'm sure there are nannies and educators and what have you. So we'll see. I got the sense in the Joe Rogan Kanye interview that he was ready to like start a school and learn how to live off the land. And he was kind of done with the BS. And maybe this will give him the opportunity to do that and spend the time that he wants to spend with his kids. Maybe it'll give Kim the time to finish her, not law degree, but her legal apprenticeship and take the bar. Who knows? I think at some point we'll see it addressed. It'll be monetized. We'll see it addressed from Kim's perspective, the way we saw the tier in the Chris Humphries divorce, right? The one like, it's hard for me to, wasn't that what brought us like the crying Kim emoji? Wasn't it talking about the Chris Humphries divorce? Anyway, I'm sure we'll see it addressed in some version of a TV show or something with the Kardashians. That is the way that they talk about their life. Will we see it addressed from Kanye? Maybe on Twitter, maybe not. He might just be like, I'm in Wyoming with my kids, bitches. I'm out. Maybe there will be an album at some point. We'll hear about it then. Other than that, I don't think that this is going to be a dragged through the mud to celebrity divorce. That's definitely not the vibe I'm getting. I'm getting this is going to be negotiated. The negotiations are going to be presented to the court and they're all going to move on. Those are my thoughts on the Kim Kardashian West divorce. The most interesting part of this whole divorce is what's going to happen with this $30 million lawsuit. And if this $30 million lawsuit's going to be impacted. I also really do want to see, because I'm just nosy, if any of the documents come to light. People are saying that this is a $2 billion divorce based on all their different business entities. I will be interested to see not how that separates out between the two of them, but what all of it is. Like, what else do they have going on? Is the KKW brand that big, or is it KKW plus the TV shows plus other things that we might not even be aware of, investments, own property, what have you? And then what does the Yeezy line look like? The clothing line look like? I'm interested just to know what kind of money those things are making. And we might see some of that in this divorce. We might not. That might not be public record. That might be under seal. It wouldn't be wrong if it's under seal. It would be disappointing for all of us. Stuff will leak, but some of that stuff really might be protected trade secrets. And the one thing you're going to do, even if you're getting a divorce, is protect your ass first. That's what that's going to be. Okay, let's move on to topic number 2. Do you love this? Tech Valor made this for me. I love it so much. It like helps me reset my brain. I'm going to try not to do it too much. Let's talk about Shia LaBeouf's response to the FKA Twigs lawsuit. I'm going to make a note. I have a video breaking down that lawsuit. It was immediately demonetized. Of course it was. I went through it honestly. It is dealing with heavy topics of domestic violence and domestic abuse. This answer does not deal as heavily with that. This deals very briefly. I'm not going to rehash everything in the FKA Twigs lawsuit because there's a whole video. Going over it. So if you want to check that out, there will be a card, there will be a link. I'm making a note so I don't forget. And I know the mods have noted it for the record. So let's get into this answer. Now, in the lawsuits we regularly cover on this channel, we don't have lawsuits that have been answered, really. We have lawsuits that have had motions to dismiss filed. So this is a defendant's answer to a complaint. Welcome to an answer to a complaint. The lawsuit was filed December 11th. This was electronically filed February 5th. The case has a status conference set for, wait for it, a status conference set for June 2021. See y'all back in June is what the court said. We'll talk then. So whether or not this will go to mediation, we'll see. But the court doesn't want to hear nothing from no one until June, other than the answers. General denial. Pursuant to California Code of Civil Procedure 431.30D, defendant denies generally and specifically all of the allegations. We didn't do it. We deny it. Affirmative defenses. First affirmative defense. Plaintiff's complaint fails to state a claim. That's your general 12B6. There's nothing we can do to fix this. So you've stated claims, but relief can't be granted. We can't fix it. Second affirmative defense, and these are basic. These are basic responses. Second affirmative defense, comparative fault by third parties. Defendant denies that plaintiff suffered any damages, but if it is determined that plaintiff has been damaged, then any damages were not caused by defendant. So I don't think there were any damages caused by the actions alleged in the complaint. But if there were, it wasn't me. Third affirmative defense, lack of injury. Plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or in part because plaintiff has not suffered any injury or damage as a result. No causations. Plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or in part because defendant did not cause any damages. Fifth affirmative defense, no actions based on sex. Plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or in part because none of the acts alleged were based on sex and or the conduct was not sexual. So there are some sexual battery claims in there. That's why that is coming up as an affirmative defense. Sixth affirmative defense. Plaintiff's causes of actions are barred in whole or in part because plaintiff's own conduct and intervening third-party conduct caused all or some of plaintiff's alleged injury. Again, I should note, these affirmative defenses need to be pled or you can't argue them later. So it's almost like reserving a table. You're like, I reserve the right to say all of this shit later when it comes up. But this is what a general denial with reservation of affirmative defenses looks like. They're not arguing anything. They're saying we didn't do it. And if you say we do it, these are the reasons that we're still not responsible. That's what these affirmative defenses are. And I can talk about affirmative defenses in just a moment. Sixth affirmative defense, plaintiffs barred in part or in whole because plaintiff's own conduct or the intervening third-party conduct caused all or some of plaintiff's alleged injury. Seventh affirmative defense, latches. It's rare that we get to talk about latches anymore. Claims are barred in whole or in part by the doctrine of latches. Punitive damages. Plaintiff's request for punitive damages or exemplary damages against defendant violates defendant's right to due process under California and the United States Constitution. So no punitive damages, those punishment damages, are allowed. Statute of limitations. Plaintiff's claims are barred by the statute of limitations. Estoppel. Plaintiff's claims are barred in whole or in part by estoppel. Waiver and release. Plaintiff has waived or released any right to obtain relief for her claims. It'll be interesting to see how that is. Unclean hands. As a result of plaintiff's knowledge, conduct, words, or actions, plaintiff's claims against defendants are barred or whole or in part by unclean hands. Self-defense justification. Plaintiff is barred in whole or in part from obtaining relief because defendant's alleged conduct was reasonably necessary for his self-defense or safety. Failure to mitigate. As a result of plaintiff's knowledge, conduct, words, actions, or failure to act, plaintiff's claims are barred or limited because plaintiff failed to exercise reasonable care and diligence to mitigate her alleged damages. That means you needed to go, is what I think their argument would be there. Lack of causation or intervening cause. The plaintiff's own conduct and or intervening third party was superseded cause of the alleged injury to plaintiffs. Reservation of other defense. Defendant reserves the right to assert other affirmative defenses. So we're reserving the right to say, even if you say we did it, we're not responsible because of these affirmative defenses. The prayer for relief. This is what defendant wants if defendant wins. Plaintiff take nothing. Plaintiff's claims be dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't be brought again. Defendant be awarded costs for such other relief as the court may deem proper. And then Sean Hawley is the attorney for defendant Shia LaBeouf. Sean Hawley has represented quite a few celebrities. She's worked with the Kardashians. I had worked with her briefly. She's a very smart attorney. She, I believe, is representing Tory Lanez. She has represented Lindsay Lohan. So Sean Hawley is a celebrity defense attorney, I think, at this point. She, when the Lindsay Lohan case was going on, she was on TMZ. She was like, it's weird. Like, who follows the attorneys around? Well, now the attorneys are becoming a more integral part all these years later of these types of things. People want to know about the attorneys involved, and attorneys becoming known is actually starting to become a part of litigation, or having an attorney that is known is becoming a part of litigation. It's very interesting how litigation and celebrity and PR are merging. Sean's actually been, I think she was on one of the Real Housewives episodes, not Real Housewives, Keeping Up with the Kardashians episodes when they went to DC for one of the prison reform things. So anyway, that is what that is. That is what that is. That is what that is. So those are reserving affirmative defenses and saying, in general, I didn't do anything. And if I did do anything, then these affirmative defenses come into play. So we can do a breakdown of the affirmative defenses, but really it's reserving the right at trial. If something comes up, it's like, yes, but you did this. So even if I did this, you did this, and that's why I don't lose. That's where you're seeing affirmative defenses, which we haven't talked a ton about because we haven't seen that in a lot of the cases that we've been talking about because they're so early on in litigation. All right. Changes to the PPP program. It's so fun. I'm doing it twice. Changes to the PPP program. Let's talk about what the PPP program is real quick. Actually, I should just tell you. The PPP is the Paycheck Protection Program that, a year ago when COVID started, it was passed at the beginning of March. The rollout was kind of a hot mess. It was slapped through very quickly to try to help bail businesses out. The original thought behind the PPP program, from my perspective, was, look, if we can stabilize employers, then everyone won't end up on unemployment. As restaurants were closing, businesses were closing, states were going into lockdown. How are we going to stabilize businesses? And we're allowing a lot of people to be on unemployment, but the unemployment system is not set up for a flood of people into unemployment. So how do we deal with this? And the PPP program was originally set up to literally cover paychecks, to help businesses that may be closed cover payroll. But it was intended, or it was sold as it being intended for smaller businesses to help them stay afloat and keep their employees hired and on payroll and pay them through there. The thing that I saw as problematic with that is that they started the PPP to have employees receiving their salary, but then they also boosted unemployment. So if people were on unemployment, they would have made more than if they stayed employed by their employer on PPP. And I thought the two had competing interests. I understand why do both, but the two competed with each other. And then you had large chain restaurants and larger other businesses taking up quite a lot of the funds that were first come, first serve. There were issues in the rollouts because you had to go through a bank. A lot of small businesses didn't have the type of banking relationships that large businesses had. They couldn't just call up their business banker and be like, hey, how do I get applied? Help me do it. They I did content on it. A lot of others did content on it, but a lot of small businesses felt very locked out. And then sole proprietors were also very locked out. So these updates expand this program a bit. They've put quite a bit of money behind expanding this program to help continue to bail out small businesses. The Paycheck Protection Program has already provided over 5.2 million in loans, over 5.2 million loans worth $525 billion to small businesses. The new changes to the PPP, and I will put these links in the description box if you want to go pull these up. These are all through SBA.gov. My note to you, fair law nerd, if you are looking for information with regard to this, there has been a lot of fraud with applications for these various programs. Anytime there's an application where you can get money, there are going to be people doing fraudulent, like SBA type websites to try to get your information. It needs to say SBA.gov. If you Google it and you aren't sure, pull it up in the URL bar at the top and make sure what you are looking at is the SBA.gov website, because there has been a lot of fraud in these, and there's been a lot of fraud in applying for these, which is going to happen anytime the government is like, hey, if you apply here, you can get money. And the thing about the PPP program is a lot of it's forgiven. So it's like, hey, you can have money, and it's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back in a lot of circumstances. So when you have the government saying, hey, here's money, you can bet your ass there's going to be fraud. So over $5.25 billion has already been distributed. Some of the key updates here are that you can set the loan coverage period between 8 and 24 weeks, meaning you can meet the needs of paying payroll, not just in an 8-week period, which is what it allowed for before. It was like, here's an 8-week period. And this was way, way back in March of 2020 when everyone's like, these lockdowns won't go on forever. It'll be short. Wrong. So it allows businesses a little more flexibility in the coverage period. It allows additional expenses to be covered. Previously, you could only cover payroll and very limited business expenses. So if you were a business that had, this was my husband's business, for example, the rent costs substantially more than the payroll. But the way that the PPP loan worked is you had to pay most of it to payroll, and you couldn't necessarily cover rent the same way because you had to cover more than 75% to payroll because of the way that the loan was written and distributed. The intent, again, being keep people off of unemployment, allow them to still be paid through their employer. But then employers are like, I can't stay open and put you on payroll if I can't pay my rent. So they've made some modifications here to allow for that. Additional expenses, including operating expenditures, property damage costs, supplier costs, and worker protection. I thought it was interesting that property damage costs came in here because property damage should really be covered by other branches of FEMA, but lots of businesses were damaged in not only weather events this year, but also in some protests this year. So there have been businesses that have been damaged. I wonder if things like the weather damage that just happened in Texas, if some of that type of stuff, those natural events will be covered, because normally those are covered through FEMA loans when you have a natural disaster at your business. But I digress. It'll be interesting to see what they mean by property damage. They are expanding to include 501c6s, housing cooperatives, destination marketing organizations. Are they talking about travel agents? I feel like they're talking about travel agents. It's the language is so specific. I want to know who lobbied for this, because the language is very specific on destination marketing organizations, but also that industry, the entire travel industry, has been very hard hit. And then other types of organizations are being expanded, greater flexibility for seasonal employees. Certain existing borrowers, people who got the first loan, can modify the loan amount based on these new regulations. Some can get a second draw, which means you get another loan, which was not allowed under the first modification. So there are also some additional limits, no more than 300 employees, and now must demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts between comparable quarters in 2019 and 2020. So showing that in Q2 2019, you had this amount. And in Q2 2020, you had at least 25% less. This is going to take some additional oversight, which is why there are substantial additional funds in here for oversight of this. So yes, it does create some more bureaucracy in it, but it is also promoting it to eliminate exclusionary restrictions, to allow for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals, which wasn't happening before. Though I will note, those individuals were allowed to be on unemployment before. So this shifts them to allow people who are independent contractors, sole proprietors, and self-employed to now apply for the PPP loan to receive some funding. There are access restrictions being eliminated. That means if student loan payments have defaulted, it doesn't count against you in getting this loan. And then there is some ability for lawful U.S. residents who are non-citizens to use a tax identification number to apply. So if you are a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident but non-citizen who has a tax identification number and run a business in the U.S., you can apply, which makes sense to me because if you're living here lawfully and working here lawfully and running a business lawfully, you shouldn't be excluded from a program because, you're paying into the system too if you're doing all those other things. So those are the improvements to the PPP. The applications go up tomorrow. If you fall into one of these categories, if you were blocked from the PPP loan before and you are now eligible, start seeking out this information today. Look for where you can apply. Call your bank and talk to them about applying. The thing is, this rolls out tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time, but all of the details aren't out yet. So I'm sure that the banks are all scrambling to figure out how they're going to allow people to apply. But there is a 14-day window where those who previously were able to apply cannot apply. So this is really allowing for those who were excluded before but aren't excluded now to get the first bite at the apple, if you will. So if that is you and your business, now is the time. After this live stream, maybe. Now is the time. Now is the time to talk to your bank, figure out if you are eligible, if you want to apply, but you will know in your business if this is you. And it's showing not now, it's showing that gap from 2019 to 2020. Again, there are going to be additional things that are covered, additional operating expenses that your business might have already incurred debt for. The last PPP loan did not allow for the payback of debt. So that is the one thing that I would say to look for specifically, because if you incurred those debts and this loan doesn't let you pay back those debts where you were trying to cover, it doesn't really help you to pay ongoing expenses. It would help more businesses, I think, to allow them to pay back whatever they incurred trying to keep operating expenses going. But we will see. You guys, we've gotten through 3 topics, and now it's time to talk a little bit about defamation. But first, there are over 3,000 of you in here. If you'll let me know how many likes are on the video, go ahead and like it. If we'll have to pick a number. If we get to a certain number of likes, we'll bring back Lawyer Cat. But like the video, go ahead and subscribe. We are at 86.8 thousand subs. You guys were getting closer to purple hair. I'm very, very excited. And we're going to do one more quick topic. Then we're going to get into your questions and the court of public opinion. So let's do it. I think we can definitely get well over 1,000 likes on this video. Go ahead and like it. We'll bring back 2,000 likes. We'll bring back Lawyer Cat. That's a really big number. But there's over 3,000 of you in here, so I think we can do it. Let's talk Real Housewives and defamation just real quick, because I got asked about it, and I'm fascinated to know what you think. Real Housewives of New Jersey season 11. Look, if you're not a fan of the Housewives, I get it. I have a mixed relationship with watching the Housewives show. Like, I love watching them and I hate myself for loving watching them. I don't care. It just is what it is. Look, they know what they've signed up for. I talked about this on Up and Adam's channel last week. The Housewives know the contracts that they're signing up for. They know what the franchises look like. They know the kind of drama that plays out. They know the game when they sign up. So where I feel like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and the pop revolution of the late 90s, early 2000s didn't really know the frenzy that would be the paparazzi culture of that time. I feel like the Real Housewives are adults who know what they're getting into and choose to get into that. Teresa Gudice or Gudice, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It seems to change season by season, and I don't know. No disrespect meant, I really don't know because it's said both ways, and I just don't know. She came out swinging this season at a birthday party for Jackie, one of the other housewives' husbands. I think this was still being filmed during COVID, but there was a big old birthday party. Whatever. Jackie was drinking. Everybody's drinking on the Housewives all the time, but Jackie was drinking. Teresa was drinking. Teresa starts running around the party saying that Jackie's husband's cheating on her. Like, have you heard that he's like doing things at the gym? Have you? And she, literally like a junior high school kid. Did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? Like a whole Housewives game of telephone ran around this whole party. So Jackie, being Jackie, was like, we're going to sit down and talk about it. They're getting ready to go on a trip. This is what the housewives do. They go on trips, they get plied with alcohol, and then they fight with each other. That is the formula for every season. So the trip is coming up. I believe this week's episode, they're going to be away at like an Airbnb or whatever together because still COVID. So Jackie wants to sit down with Teresa and hash out, like, why are you saying this about my husband? You're dragging his name through the mud. You're essentially damaging his reputation. Take it back. Say that it was a lie. Say that it was a rumor. And Teresa's like, well, it is a rumor. Well, who'd you hear it from? Well, I don't know who I heard it from. It's a rumor. Well, did they have any proof? Well, I didn't ask them for any evidence. I don't know what they know. I don't know if they know you. I don't know if they have proof. Teresa was very coy and would not give Jackie the satisfaction of just saying, I made it up. And that's what Jackie believes Teresa did. So we are going to watch a clip of what Jackie did to retaliate and then talk about whether or not that is defamation. So let's take a look. I want to hear what you guys think about this, which is why I'm doing it now, so that this being the last topic, we can start chatting about it and then get into court of public opinion and then answer questions. Because I really do want to hear your thoughts. Ooh. As my coffee gets stuck in my throat. Fantastic. Let's go to the screen share and pull up this video real quick. We're going to pull this up. We're going to share audio. All right. This is from Bravo's YouTube channel. This is fair use. We should probably give it a like, right? This is fair use. Fair use. We're commenting. Let's see what they say. Let me know if you guys can hear it, because I said share audio, so I hope that you can hear it. I hope that you can hear it.
Spread a rumor. I heard a rumor. Okay, well, you know what? I heard that Gia snorts coke in the bathroom at parties. Okay, I heard it.
That's Teresa's daughter, who's 20 years old.
I don't know where I heard it from. I mean, I heard from somebody. You're a bitch. I mean, but it.
Okay, that's where we're at. We're at Teresa saying, well, I heard a rumor. And then Jackie saying, well, this is what I heard.
Don't call the shots. So if you're not a stupid girl, you know your husband's not cheating on you, and stand up for yourself.
Jackie, by the way, said, I'm not a stupid girl. I'm a lawyer. That's part of why I want to talk about this.
What the was she saying?
You need to admit that you spread. I did not spread a rumor.
She absolutely spread a rumor. That's exactly what she did. She absolutely spread a rumor.
I heard a rumor.
And then I told everyone, I heard a rumor. I didn't know if it was true. And I told everyone at your husband's birthday party.
Okay, well, you know what? I heard that Gia snorts coke in the bathroom at parties. Okay, I heard it. I don't know where I heard it from. I mean, I heard from somebody. You're a bitch.
All right. I think, first of all, I think going for the kids is a low blow. I think that going after the children is a low blow. I think going after Gia is a low blow. I absolutely do. I think that Jackie saying, okay, well, then I heard, is clear that she is saying, hey, if you're going to say, I heard a rumor, I'm going to show you how hurtful it is to be like, well, I heard this rumor. Here's the thing with defamation. And again, this is Real Housewives of New Jersey, season 11. This episode aired last week. The full episode, which is fascinating to me, the full episode is up on Bravo's YouTube channel. So if you want to see the full episode, you absolutely can. The full episode is up there. Gia, I think for our discussion, counts as a public figure. She has been on the Real Housewives of New Jersey for 11 seasons. She has shared very private moments with regard to her family, her father and her mother both going to prison, her father being deported. She has shared those moments on the show and has been filmed. However, she is still the kid from one of the housewives. I don't know that Gia signs the same kind of agreement that the housewives signed. She is not a main housewife. She has been brought along on this since she was 10 years old, 9 years old. So I feel like even though she is 20 years old, it's a low blow to go for, well, Gia, this. Now, Jackie asked Teresa about her own rumors when her husband, Joe, was in federal prison, saying, are you running around with this guy? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? In that instance, I'm becoming Teresa Gudice with this. In that incident, there were photos in tabloid magazines and tabloid websites and social media. So there were photos of Teresa out with some dude and Jackie saying, are you dating him? I think that's what heated up the beef and made it a mess, is because there had been that stuff from last season. So now Jackie's coming with this example. Well, I heard your daughter does drugs in the bathroom. It's a very big callback to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I love that one franchise is throwing back to a heated moment from another fucking franchise, because, well, do people do coke in the bathroom? Came up on Beverly Hills. That's way too deep into the Housewives lore for our purposes. Here's the thing. I think that Gia is a public figure. So for defamation, for a public figure, you need to make a false statement of fact. False statement of fact. Was that a false statement of fact? She said, well, I heard. So is she saying it's a fact in that statement? I don't think so. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It has to cause harm to the person being Gia. Has it caused harm? Well, we don't know. Could it? Maybe. Acted with a reckless disregard for the truth by making the statement. Was it reckless disregard for the truth? Yes, but she said, well, I heard this. So it was almost so outlandish that it wasn't even a statement of fact. So it doesn't matter if there's reckless disregard for the truth, because we don't get there. And then there has to be actual malice. Is there actual malice here? I don't think there's actual malice towards Gia. I think there's an analogy. I think it's a shit analogy. I think there were other analogies that could be pulled from, because Teresa's done enough that you could pull back to all of Teresa. But this was just, okay, fine. You heard this, I heard this. And I think if you looked at this in the context of the conversation, there's no way this was well, you know what? People have told me that Gia's doing this, and I know that Gia does this. Gia's doing this. That's not what she said. It's shitty, but what she said was, fine, I heard it was this. You can just throw words out there. I can just throw words out there too. And I think that's really what the point was. The point was, if you're going to just throw all these words out here about my husband, I can throw words out there too. Let's do it. I can throw words out there too. It'll be very interesting to see how it pulls out. But people are like, where does this go with defamation? I'm like, well, is it a false statement of fact? Nope. No, it's not a false statement of fact. So that's where I think it is. It's shitty to say. It's not a false statement of fact. And Lori, I appreciate this. Bravo is not taking the clip out. Bravo started the episode with that fight and then walked back. Bravo started with Teresa storming out of that fight, and not what was said. It started the episode with Teresa storming out of that fight, just spewing obscenities, and then walked back 3 weeks to get to this in the last few minutes of the show. Because when you look at this this is the literal last few minutes of the show here. This is, there's all that's left here. I'll show you what's left. All that's left here is Teresa storming out and spewing obscenities, which I have no problem with.
But it's the same thing. So how is that not the same?
It's the same thing.
How is it not the same?
Go
How is it not the same?
There was a C word in there. You're a fucking see you next Tuesday was in there. But the episode was also called See You Next Tuesday. So Bravo definitely wanted us to know that that's the word that was dropped. There we go. There it was again. There it was again. Yep. Housewives. So that is where we're at with the Housewives. Because it came up, because it looked like because it has enough of like, is it? I wanted to talk about it just because we needed another example for defamation, right? We just needed another example for defamation and another option. But again, just throwing words out there is a huge problem. And that's what happened here. It is distasteful for sure. It's messy as hell. Is it legally defamatory? I don't think so. Does Jackie know better because she is an attorney than to go after somebody's kid? Does she know the words that are coming out of her mouth? Yes. And she's defending it going, it was an analogy. She's besmirching my husband's reputation. So this is the only person that's in her life that she cares about this much. So there it is. But it's not like Teresa has not gone after every single member of the cast and started rumors and dug into them. Teresa has definitely done some shit on the show. I don't like going after her kid. I don't like it. I find it distasteful. But Teresa went after her own sister-in-law and was like, no, you were a stripper. No, here's this guy who shows. I talk all about that on Up and Adam's show last week. If you want to hear me more talk more about Housewives, it's over there. Let's get into questions. No, I almost forgot. We have to do court of public opinion and then questions. We are going to get back to PPP loan because we're going to get to questions as I jumble into questions real quick. You literally got approved for a second PPP loan yesterday. I'm confused. If you already qualify, this new round might not be for you, but you can ask your lender if you need to have it reevaluated given these new restraints. But given these new examples and the fact that you've already gotten a PPP loan means that this probably doesn't count except for what you can use it for. That might affect your loan. So ask your lender about these new these new rules with regard to what you can use your PPP loan for, because that might be very, very helpful. Yes, we will do this in questions. I'm writing it down because we will go through that. We will go through some of the stuff in the Shia LaBeouf thing once we get to questions. But if I don't get to court of public opinion, I will absolutely forget. So let's get to this week's court of public opinion. Y'all had all of the feelings about this week's court of public opinion, which makes it maybe one of my favorite that we've done so far. There was lots of debate. I don't know if we have a clean ruling for today on the court of public opinion. I know. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I think we might have to have a runoff because there were a limited amount of options on Twitter and a limited amount of options to poll on YouTube. So I think we need to take some of our tops and run them off against each other. Let me know in the chat what you think about doing a runoff to get a ruling by Friday for court of public opinion, because there were over 2,000 votes on the Twitters and there were over 10,000 votes on YouTube. Y'all, over 10,000 votes on YouTube. but we couldn't get some of your favorites in. And that's why I feel like maybe we need a runoff. So let me go ahead and share the Twitter and the YouTube tab and see what the results came in at. And then let me know, do we need a runoff? I feel like maybe we need a runoff. You guys are like, yeah, runoff. I think we need runoffs too. I think we need brackets. I think we do. As I promptly leave all of my DMs open. Well, you guys know who I DM with. All right. Runoffs. 2,000 videos here. We've got Adam West at 16%, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, George Clooney, but over 100 comments. No, I don't want to do that. I want to go to the comments. Show me the comments. This is why I say I can't use Twitter. So y'all were just Kevin Conroy. Not having Kevin Conroy on it was absolutely what was killing it for you all. So I think we have to do this with Kevin Conroy in it. I think we have to run it off with Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, and Kevin Conroy, because that's kind of where we are. I'm making a note. Because Clooney got smashed. Adam West got kind of smashed. And I get it. But all of these comments, not all, most of these comments are asking for Kevin Conroy. And I think it's only fair to add Kevin Conroy in to the you guys are, I pronounce things wrong all the time. Conroy. I get it. I pronounce things wrong all the time because I love this community and appreciate the mods for helping keep it a positive place to take a brain break from the world. Oh, Ro, you're welcome. And thank you so much for that. I know we have to, so I think we have to do a runoff. We have to, right? So all of this asked for Kevin Conroy. Well, for a lot of it. We are missing the two we all agreed on to add. Yeah, I know. It limits me. The Twitters limit me on my greatness here. But I feel like we have to. Tech Valor, I love you. Ben didn't get nearly as many votes and nor nearly as many comments. So I don't think Ben makes it to the runoff. I don't. Val Kilmer also got some comments, but not nearly as many as Kevin Conroy did. So we're just going to have to break it down. I agree with this though, Ray Wren, that Affleck didn't get the best chance to shine. Because the thing is, it's hard sometimes to differentiate performances and the actor. So I feel like we need a runoff with Lego Batman, with Keaton, Bale, Lego, and Conroy. That's what I think. Because once we get through the Twitters, sorry, yes, no Val Kilmer, but again, only like 2 or 3 comments looking for Val Kilmer. All of the comments looking for Kevin. So then when we get to the 10,000 votes, Lego Batman beat Michael Keaton. And oh, I see you guys asking. Where are we at with the likes? And over this 280 comments has quite a lot of Kevin, Lego Batman, Kevin. So we have to run it off with 2 live action Batmans and 2 cartoon Batmans. And then I think we will get to the best. Okay. If we get to 1.5, I'm bringing it down from 2. There's over 3,000 watching. We get to 1.5. I will cat lawyer again. So I think we need a rundown with Bale, Keaton, Lego, and Conroy. That's what we're doing. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have to do a runoff, and we're going to have to come back to it on Friday because it's too close. But it's just not fair to not have Conroy in there. There were so many requests for him. I feel bad to Adam West, but now we'll get 2 cartoon and 2 voiced Legos and 2 live action Legos, because the love is absolutely there for Michael Keaton and Christian Bale. I think Christian Bale got some of the best movies, but I also think that Michael Keaton had a great ensemble cast and was a great Batman. So it's hard. It's hard. They haven't made my Batman yet. I'm waiting on Jensen Ackles. He would be a fantastic Batman. I like him when he's goofy too, though. But I'm an SPN nerd, so you say Jensen Ackles, and you know how we feel. I think we need to do a 2-part, one for movies. That's a good idea. Then a final one of the top 2. We're going to end up with like 4 different polls. I think we're going to just run off the top 2. I can't let people vote twice though. Maybe we do. Maybe we need a best live action, best cartoon. There's so many. We'll see. Because right now I'm really inclined to do Keaton, Bale, Lego, and Conroy. All right. I'm going to get to your questions. Can we have Scott White do a voiceover of Lawyer Kitten announcing the winner of Court of Public Opinion? Amy, I will absolutely ask him. Isn't Scott fun? I love that you guys enjoyed our creator chat with Scott. I thought it was so much fun. You guys, there we go. There we go. All right. I've heard you. Law nerds, I've heard you. Can we do a complete March Madness breakdown of all the Batmans? I don't know about that, but we'll see. Cartoon Batmans are better. I love that. Yes. Hello all. I love that you guys loved Scott. It was so much fun having him come on. I think we've just jumped to questions. Have we just jumped to questions? I feel like we've jumped to questions. So there we go. We've swooped. We are in Q&A. We are in questions and answers. We are going to have to do a runoff. I will absolutely ask Scott what he thinks about the results of the Court of Public Opinion. All right. You guys, how much lawyer cat can we do today? Are we going to do all the lawyer cat? I'm not a cat. If you guys want to put it on social, it's fine. We're going to do it. I'm live. I am not a cat. Which is exactly the kind of thing that a cat would say. Oh, I'm sorry, paw nerds. I literally spit out water on my computer because I was playing The Sims as he was speaking. Lex, that's fantastic. Scott's so fun. I just love it. I love it. Scott was great. He reminds me so much more of one of my favorite celebs, Will Wheaton. Absolutely. All right. You guys, I am not a cat. And this cat is going back in the vault. We will bring out Lawyer Cat. It looks like we're going to have to bring out Lawyer Cat at least once in a while because y'all are here for the Lawyer Cat. I appreciate you. Cat would also say, bring me coffee, peasant. Yes, they would. Brian, coffee. I'm teasing. All right, let's do the other stuff. Oh, we're going to break down a little bit of what's in the Shia LaBeouf answer, which we'll do. When's the next episode of the Toddy Westbrook case? Do you know? I don't know. There should be an answer from Salts. I believe it's next week. I would need to go run the numbers on that, but I believe we should have an answer from Salts next week. I don't know why the pace is being pushed so hard by the defense. So there is just this push of litigation. Some of it's not even ripe yet. If we're talking about the Westbrook case for just a second, some of the stuff that is being filed by Brown, it's like, but it's not even really relevant yet. So I don't know what the court is even going to say. Like, okay, great, you filed this, but it's not, it doesn't even matter yet. It just doesn't even matter yet. We needed lip gloss. It has a light. I love this. This one is, it is Jen Gerard Cosmetics, but this one is Crystal. It's so good. I put it on poorly, but I like the gold shiny. It's fun. Will you post a short video on IG and Twitter talking as the cat? Oh, probably. Mods, can you timestamp the cat? Yes, we will timestamp the cat. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Can we refer to him as Mr. Beef Stroganoff? I like LaBeouf. I'm partial to LaBeouf because I'll forget beef stroganoff. I'm partial. I will have to bring back full cat. It is totally fair. We were talking about the Tati Westbrook Without a Crystal Ball drama. The Without a Crystal Ball channel owner's name is KJ. It's not, it's Katie Joy. We call her KJ. Can you go through the Kanye lawsuits at some stage, please? Yes, I asked in the questions and in the comments if you guys wanted to. If people want to go through that, we absolutely will go through those employment lawsuits regarding Sunday service because I think it would be really interesting. So yes, if that's what the people want, that's what we will do. We will go through it. All right, let me back up and see if we can get to a few questions. Oh, no, we can't do a few questions because I need to pull up this response and go through some of these. I will absolutely shout out the Paw Nerds when I post as Lawyer Cat. We will. We could just completely translate his name to the beef. And then we can say, where's the beef? Yes, LaBeouf. LaBeouf. Let's talk about some of these. All right. Shia LaBeouf. It's live. We're finishing coffee. It's all good. You guys had asked about a little bit of latches, unclean hands, estoppel. What else is in here? Contributory negligence means like somebody else caused the injury too. No causation means nobody did it. Lack of injury means nothing happened. Comparative fault by third parties means they caused the damage. So let's get into latches, estoppel. We've talked about latches and estoppel, I believe, in the Tati Westbrook. I'm pulling up my notes because otherwise I will say things wrong. We talked about latches and estoppel, I believe, in the business partner, the Swanson lawsuit a little bit, but latches is essentially that you didn't bring it in a timely way. So this should have been brought. It wasn't. You delayed it. You didn't bring it when it happened. So you can't recover because you waited too long and that wait damaged the other party. So it's like, hey, that's old shit. That's old shit. Stop bringing up old shit. It's like when your mom or your dad or your brother or your spouse is like, yeah, but 15 years ago you did this. It latches. No, it's like, lock it up, put it away. That's old shit. Lock up the old shit. Coffee and Cursey Words, best part of my week. Thank you so much. Can we get Paw Nerd merch? Donald Duck, I'm working on it. Yes, I'm working on it. So yes, speaking of merch real quick, Donald Duck, since you brought up merch, first of all, do the YouTube things while you're here. And if you follow me on the socials, that would be great too. I'm the Emily D. Baker everywhere, but we are working towards getting you guys new merch on a regular basis around the 15th of each month. So when I say we are working on merch, it's because I am working towards getting it every month new for you guys. Tory Lanez goes to court in like 2 days. Yes, the prosecution handed over evidence to the defense that directly contradicts Meg's statements. That will be interesting. And we will see. He's also represented by Sean Hawley. The prosecution has to hand over everything they get. So if they just got those results back, they will. When Tory Lanez does go back to court, we will cover what happens. It will be interesting to me, and then I will get back to unclean hands. It will be interesting to me if the new district attorney policies are well received in this case, because it's going to substantially change this case. Right now, this is a presumptive state prison case. That means if Tory Lanez is convicted of this case, it's presumed that you go to prison. But I expect some of the allegations will be dropped, and that will change the way the case is charged and sentenced, because the gun allegations and stuff should be dropped under the new district attorney's policy guidelines. So it'll be very interesting to see how people feel about the gun charges and the assault with a weapon charges being modified in the case where you have a woman who was alleged to be shot at by an individual who she was alleged to have a relationship with. So I would like to see how the new policies play out in this case and see how that is received. Because I think those that are supportive of Megan would be outraged if this is reduced and limited, which it very well should be under the new guidelines. I'm not saying that I agree with the new guidelines. I'm saying under the new guidelines, some of this shit should be dismissed. And we'll see what happens when that goes back to court. So thank you, Pretty Little Things, for bringing that up. Lynn, Lawyer Cat made my day. You and Scott are so kind and genuine. Thank you. I commented on his IG and he responded with such kindness, working through similar life things. Thank you. Thank you. Scott is truly a great human. And I love that we were able to have a creator chat where you talk about what it's like and how many auditions it takes. And even I see Scott as tremendously successful. And even then he's like, I feel like my career has been he's been acting since he was 13, 14 years old. So that's, oh gosh, 30 years of a career. And he's like, I still feel like it's going to be a joke. Like somebody's going to be like, haha, you don't really get to be an actor your whole life, after he's been an actor his whole life. All right, let's get to unclean hands, which means essentially that you have done something to cause the situation, saying that you did this too, and that's why you set me up to do the thing, or you did these things, and therefore you cannot win from these claims because you brought it. So that defense would bar you from winning in that case. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. It's that you did enough of a thing. Your hands aren't clean either. You have dirty hands in this too. So if somebody was set up to do it, then that would bar it. So we'll see. That might, so we'll see how that plays out. Let me see if there was another one that I didn't break down estoppel. I didn't break down estoppel for y'all. I'm sitting here thinking about how we can law nerd dictionary latches. That shit's old. Unclean hands. You started that shit. Well, it's not really you started that shit. You did other shit. You did shit too. That's what it is. You did shit too. And that shit prevents you from essentially receiving any benefit here. And estoppel means that the two things are so contradictory. You can't, half of what Brown's doing feels like estoppel to me. It's I said this thing and then I said this other thing. And because I'm arguing two things, those two things can't square. So because you're saying two different things and those things can't square, you're stopped. Stop that shit. You can't. I'm pulling up a better example of estoppel to see if I can give you a better analogy than that. Because off the top of my head, I'm none of my examples are making sense. But you can't raise... it's barring it because you're arguing kind of two different things. Because it's not collateral estoppel, it's just regular estoppel, and that's generally what it is. I can pull up estoppel in California if we dive into this FKA Twigs suit more. What's really important for our purposes here in the LaBeouf response is that he didn't specifically go into each thing. There's no argument here, really. There's no spin, there's no PR. It's we're denying these, and we're reserving our defenses. So I imagine that they will try to resolve this behind the scenes, because that generally feels like the direction they're trying to go in on that. Adam and Eve should sponsor the LaBeouf videos. Because of the allegations, and I understand why, but because of the allegations in that case, I don't know if I would feel right about doing that, because I don't want to ever poke fun at what's being alleged in that case. Though I do poke fun at Shia LaBeouf's name. I really poke fun at the fact that I can't say it right. Ever. So yeah, I can't. Question. It was great having Scott. I got hammered while doing my makeup with Tati's palette. Does the Kimye divorce have to wait for the lawsuit to be settled? No, it doesn't. Unlike what's going on with the Girardis, the Kimye divorce will just proceed along. And I imagine that they will negotiate who will have to deal with that. And if Kanye is being personally sued and his businesses are being personally sued, I imagine it's like you take all the liability that goes with your business, you take your business and your liability that goes with your business, I take my business and the liability that goes with my business, and we go our separate ways. I think that's what is going to happen in that suit. I imagine it won't be horribly contentious, for sure. So is this a premiere or a live stream? We live. I will always let you know when it's a premiere. We have a new video dropping tomorrow. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a premiere. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a premiere. It is the podcast episode for tomorrow. We're just going to drop it because if other stuff comes up this week, I want to make sure that I'm available to do that. And I have some appointments that I need to get done tomorrow. So I won't be available for the premiere. Question: did you see the wholesome millennial girl with her cat that sees Star Wars A New Hope for the first time? I will go look at it on Twitter. I have not seen it. I have not been on Twitter a ton. I'm confused who is Tory Lanez. It's totally fair. Fire. It's totally fair. Tory Lanez is a look. My issue with Tory Lanez is that his real name is Daystar and Tory Lanez is his stage name, and Daystar is so cool. He is a Canadian rapper, singer. He is accused in a criminal proceeding in Los Angeles of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. These are allegations. There are factual contentions with regard to this case. There are definitely two sides of this case where the kind of Tory fans are like, Megan Thee Stallion is lying. He didn't do that. The Megan fans are like, this is violence against women. This is not okay. So it is a contentious criminal proceeding that is taking place in Los Angeles. And the attorney that's representing Shia LaBeouf is also representing Tory Lanez, just out of point of interesting. I paused Harry Potter as my background movie because I could not miss Coffee and Cursey Words. Thank you. I'm going to be on Instagram later today talking about all the things you guys shared with me that you do in the backgrounds of projects, because it was absolutely fascinating. Oh, I hope that story didn't time out. I always forget this on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I want to come back to this. And then I'm like, wait, don't time out. Don't time out. Did it already time out? I really hope not. No, I hope not. I'm looking. I'm going to look on the Instagram and see, because I hope it didn't. Oh, why don't I have internet? Oh, because I'm connected to my light. I'm hoping it didn't time out. Oh, but I think it did. You guys sent me the best responses, and I meant to screenshot all of them and reshare them. See, the social media things, y'all. I totally forgot. You guys sent me hundreds of responses about what you do, and I'm going to talk about that on Instagram later. So if you are not following me on Instagram, it's at the Emily D. Baker. Go do it. I'm going to be talking about that later. You guys gave me great ideas about what you do in the background, because I was like redoing The Office yesterday. Should be working right now on my jobs web shop. Just listen in the background. Just listen in the background. Keep working. Keep working. I'm going to go through and try to get to some more questions. Did you hear that the LuLaRoe lawsuit wrapped up a few weeks ago in Washington State? I've covered that suit. I have not checked back in with it, but I will, because it's going to be time. It's been time. It's been time to check back in with the LuLaRoe suit. I covered that on the Emily show over a year ago. So if you want to hear the background of the LuLaRoe cases, they are over there. Those are not video episodes. Those are just on the podcast. Question: when you make pondered merch, can we make sure that there's a wide range sizing? Because yes, we can. I am working on it. I am always striving to be as size inclusive as possible, because I hate that too. When it's like, oh no, it's one size. I'm like, sure, not going to be for me. In general, for plaintiff and defense, who turns over evidence to who? In a civil case, it's different than in a criminal case. This is a great question, Lex. In a civil case, both parties exchange evidence, and there are interrogatories, which are questions. There are answers to questions. There's document production. Parties can object and say, I'm not turning this over because, and then the court can rule on it. Discovery is a very large part of a case, which is why in the Toddy Westbrook case, we see that motion to preserve, because it's a huge part of it, and not preserving evidence is a huge issue. And there's actually a case, somebody sent me on social about the court ruling on a destroyed evidence matter with regard to I believe a Hollywood film. So we will definitely dive into how not preserving evidence affects cases in another chat. But both parties have to turn shit over to each other. In a criminal case, it's a bit different. There are obligations for certain types of discovery from defense to prosecution. The prosecution has to turn over basically everything. Yes, things can be redacted. Yes, things can be under seal and stuff like that. But basically everything the prosecution has, the defense has the right to have. So it's different between criminal and civil, and it's different, of course, country by country. But in the US, that's what it is. Can you do, I have not covered the Tony Lopez situation yet. It's on my list. The Tony Lopez situation is dark, y'all. It really, really is. Is there a chance once Tory does his sentence, he could be deported back to Canada? I don't know what his status is. I don't know if he lives in the US, if he works in the US, if he's on a work visa in the US, I don't know. So it's hard for me to answer that. Yes, criminal convictions can have implications if you are not a citizen in the US. I know he's a Canadian citizen. I don't know if he also has dual residency. I don't know. So there are a lot of factors that would go into it, but yes, criminal convictions can have that. But also there can be, if this case pleas, like it resolves for a sentence, that can be part of it, that it pleads for a charge that wouldn't have immigration consequences. That's not uncommon to be asked for in cases. But if the side of Tory Lanez, and I know he had music about it, if the side is, I didn't do this, I imagine that there probably won't be a resolution of it short of going to trial or having it dismissed, but we will see. We will see. I'm just looking for a few more questions to make sure that I was going through so nicely and then I went, yes, just be prepared to get into it. There are a lot of seasons. It's a fun show. I love Supernatural. Thanks, y'all. I love Supernatural. I think we do need a Law and Order dictionary complete with illustrations. I think I'm going to try to define everything using the word shit at least once. That shit's old. Don't delete that shit. You're not in charge of this shit. I think I can do it. I am still looking for questions. This is a good example of estoppel. Today you're arguing the sky is blue, but yesterday in a different case you said the sky was white. Yes. That is a perfect collateral estoppel example as my brain stops while I'm live. Are we still doing questions? Yes. I swooshed. I think I swooshed earlier. True. Can you do a stream regarding Tony Lopez? Another person. Yes. Second request. It would be a good stream. It's so dark. I need to read the Tony Lopez case. It is involving kids. It is involving SA and impropriety. So it's just, it's a hard one. I need to read it and I need to make sure that I can cover it without it being horribly traumatic for everybody involved. So promissory estoppel is a big one. So this is just a blanket estoppel, but yes, promissory estoppel does come up a lot in contract cases. Absolutely. It's just, you argued this other thing. And I don't know, because they are reserving defenses. They're not saying this was the estoppel, this was this. So I don't know if elsewhere FKA Twigs had said, no, this relationship is fine. I don't know if that's out there elsewhere, but it would need to be out there elsewhere under penalty of perjury. Question, have you considered cover Judge Teresa from Living? I have no idea what that is. So have I considered it? Nope. Unaware. Don't know. So thank you. I love seeing what you guys are doing while you are listening. It's fantastic. I also enjoy reading the chat, which is why I enjoy it. I'm drafting sassy motions. Perfect. Get that sassy footnote in there. I love a sassy motion. Let me get to questions. I am looking for a vendor, Julia. Yes, I am looking for a vendor to do that. It's different than who I use right now, so it would have to be different. I love seeing what you guys are up to. Love it, love it, love it. What are your thoughts on the Amanda Bynes conservatorship? I have not pulled the documents to read it. It looks very similar to the Britney conservatorship, but I have not read the legal documents on that. So it's really hard for me to say, what do I think of it? Because I haven't read the documents on it yet. I'm curious about it. You might have gone through this in the past, but what made you decide to go to law school? I talked about it a bit in my TED Talk as well. If you want like my TED Talk's only about 18 minutes long. And if you just Google Emily D. Baker, or if you YouTube Emily D. Baker TEDx, it'll come up. I had a couple of instances where I saw things that didn't seem right to me. And I was like, I can do that with more compassion, is really what it came down to. I was like, I think that I can be compassionate and a badass. And I don't think one should obviate the other. I think that I can do both. And that's really what made me want to go to law school. I wanted to become a district attorney when I went to law school because I wanted to prosecute ferociously with compassion. And I didn't think that those two things should be disjointed. If you guys saw me pop off on Twitter over the weekend, it was because of that. I saw a lack of compassion going down on Twitter, and I got feisty about it. I don't know what's happening over there I need like a waterproof eyeliner. I'm getting better at makeup, y'all. Not really, a little bit. But when talking about law, there is always room for compassion. And yes, law is reason free from passion, but that doesn't mean it's free from compassion. It doesn't mean it's free from empathy. It doesn't mean it's free from acknowledging that there's more than just what's written on a page. There are people behind all of these lawsuits. I mean, unless they're companies, but you know what I mean. There are people going through this. When we talk about the Girardi suits, yes, we can talk about the amount of money and the housewives and how appalling it all is. But at the end of the day, there's still clients waiting to see what's happening with their cases. There's still people struggling to deal with their cases. And that is something that's important to keep in mind in all of this. Even though Kim and Kanye some are reporting a $2 billion business entity, they're still parents that have 4 kids. So while I want to talk about the business entities and how those businesses are going to be divided, I'm not going to get into Kim and Kanye as people and besmirching either of them, because at the end of the day, they're parents going through a breakup. The business breakup, the business pulling apart is much more interesting, I think, and it's something we can all learn about. So Emily's list is 10 feet high at this point. I do have quite a list of lawsuits that I want to look at, and only so much time to keep up with the ones we're keeping up with and then add new, which is why on Tuesdays I'm going to be doing like a brief coverage of stuff and then going in depth on a few things more specifically, if you will. My oldest has ADHD and is going through a sensory phase where she'll only wear LuLaRoe leggings. So I get them from the thrift store and they still have tags on them. Yeah, there are plenty of them. There was a period of time when thrift stores wouldn't accept them anymore because they were getting inundated with LuLaRoe websites. I'm not surprised by that at all, Karen. And I will absolutely pull that back up and do a dive into it, because those lawsuits were fascinating to me and there was shade in those lawsuits. So I will link the podcast episodes. I'm making notes. I will link the podcast episodes down below so you can find them. But if you go to the Emily show, Emily D. Baker /podcast, you can type in topics. I can show you real quick. I'll show you how to find it if you're interested, because you can do it this way easily. Share screen, share this. All right. So if you just go up to, this is my website. It's in progress, getting a little bit of a remake at the moment. But if you search the podcast, you can search by topic. So if you search LuLaRoe, it will come up with all the episodes I've talked about LuLaRoe. So it's these two, and you will be able to see them. What episode numbers are these? This is like episode 3 and 4 or something. These are early episodes of the Emily show. So episode 2, episode 3. So you can go and find those. They have the backgrounds of all the suits, all the shade that's in there. So those are there. And you can also find them on your favorite podcast player. Just go all the way down to last 2019 for episodes 3. What did I say? Episodes 2 and 3 of the podcast. They were some of the first things that I covered because I was fascinated by it. So we'll have to do an update. I'll probably do that for next week. Just do a LuLaRoe update on all the different suits that are going on because it's fascinating. I'm cleaning up my emails because I'm changing jobs. Congratulations on changing jobs. I hope it's a good thing. Cleaning up my emails is one of my favorite things to do when I'm low energy. Can you discuss Kardashian versus Blac Chyna lawsuit? Which Kardashian? The Rob Kardashian one? Yes, can. Very interested. Susie, I haven't read through all of it, but it's works of art. So it's not transformative to just take somebody's art and recreate it. But if that's a topic, the Kat Von D lawsuit that you guys are interested in, I need to put a poll up for the members soon. If that's something you're interested in, that's a perfect Friday night live topic as I'm keeping my notes. But it's a pretty, you can't just recreate something somebody created. You can't just take a photograph, paint it, and then sell it. You can do it for yourself. That's different than selling it. But the copyright issues are interesting for sure. What is your opinion of if you live streamed a court hearing and YouTube removed your video and struck your channel asking for a lawyer friend? I don't know what that's relating to. So I don't know what that's relating to, but you generally can't live stream court hearings because the courts say you can't live stream them. You can live react to them, but you can't live stream them. But I don't know what that is responding to, Linda Marie. I'm sorry. I don't know the circumstance, but court hearings cannot be live streamed. Regarding Real Housewives, if there was a case for defamation, would Bravo in part be to blame since they spread the defamation? Mr. TS, I think that's really interesting. I imagine Bravo's legal, if they thought that it was defamatory, probably wouldn't have aired it. I think the legal team probably looked at those statements and came to the same conclusion I did and went, no, it's clear that it's not a statement of fact. If they aired it, it would go to the damages. They're not the speaker. It's like, can YouTube be sued in the Toddy Westbrook case, right? For distributing it. They're not, though, to be fair, Bravo has more control over what they air and what they don't air. I imagine the contracts say that Bravo is to be held not liable by the women on Bravo. Like if you do something on Bravo and we air it and that gets you in trouble, that's not our fault. And if we get sued because of something you did on the show, then you are not holding us responsible and that you are going to in part defend because we are going to be removed from that. So taking all of the legal terms out of all of that sentence, I would imagine that Bravo, there would be questions about them choosing to air it, but I imagine the contracts are already pretty clear that if you do something and it gets aired, it's not on Bravo, and Bravo just becomes the method, but the person who spoke it still spoke it. It's like the Kesha suit. Kesha sent a tweet. She lost a defamation case, not a tweet, a text that she sent to Lady Gaga. It was one text, but the damages were considered to be there by the court. So sometimes the amount of spread comes in. So would Bravo come into that responsibly as a responsible third party? Unlikely. Would it come in as to airtime, how much it's been seen, stuff like that? Yes, but also I think Bravo's legal team probably vets all that stuff before it airs. But it's a great question. Thank you very much for asking it. Let me try to get to a few more questions. Any updates on the Girardi case? Oh, we are getting to the Girardi case another day. That case has not slowed down at all. It keeps going. Yes, there are already updates. No, we are not doing them today. Hope that stuff happens in that every single day. So, Marissa, I don't think a defamation suit could happen. And we just talked about that. So I love that you guys were thinking on the same page with that. New defamation lawsuit from 90 Day Fiancé couple. I don't watch 90 Day Fiancé at all. So I have so much defamation. So much defamation. At some point, I still have to get to the Dominion defamation suits and they keep filing them. All the defamation. Maybe. I don't really watch 90 Day Fiancé, but I will look at the facts of it. I will look at the facts of it to see how it falls in with the other things we do and maybe do it as one of our short topics for sure. And you guys, when the mods say questions and put them in question, it's because otherwise I can't see them. So if you guys have a few more questions, I'm going to sweep through and do a couple more, and then it is going to be time to hop off. We have covered lots of topics today very quickly. We absolutely have more topics to cover for Friday Night Live. If anything pops up this week, I will let you know if we are riding. We rode extra last week. I got to be honest, the kids were out of school all of last week. I have a lot to catch up on because the kids were out of school all last week. So tomorrow there will be a new episode of The Emily Show. And then I expect there to be Friday Night Live, and we're all going to take a breath and hope that nothing else pops off this week because everyone needs a minute. What are the chances that Texas gets the F suit out of it for all the deaths due to the privatizing power thing? Suing government entities is very challenging. Do I think there will be lawsuits? Yes. Do I know how those lawsuits will go? It depends on how they are brought. Will I cover them? Some. Will Ricada Law cover all of them? Probably. So suing government entities is a whole different thing. And I don't know enough about the privatizing of power in Texas and how it all went down, that they came off the grid when they added air. Like, I do not know enough about it. But yes, I'm sure there will be suits, whether they will be against the state or government entities or against the companies themselves. That's what happens in California, is that the power companies, when there are fires started because of the power companies and things like that, the power company gets sued, not the state. It's very hard to sue government entities. So I love this. I read all of my wife's work while she was in law school. That's absolutely fantastic. And it must have been so nice for her to have somebody who was into nerding out and talking about it as much as she was, because that's a hard thing in law school. When my husband was like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, and then this happened. And then they said this and this happened. And he's like, okay. So now I get to do it with you all. So you can all thank my husband. I need a research assistant. Yeah, yes and no. I definitely have people on my team that help me cull topics. But at the end of the day, I want the things I read and process to share with you guys. I still need to read that. I still need to read all of it. So the things I read, I still read and process for you. But I do have help culling down topics. Thank you, Jakes. It's like burrito time. Can you do another Brown case? I really want to know how he usually works. If one pops up that is on topic with what we talk about, yes. I just don't know. He normally does insurance stuff, and that's like, well, not in the realm of what we cover on the channel. And we're not, I don't have any beef with Brown. I just don't like the way he's doing things in this case. So if there is another case in the purview of the things we do, for sure, but it's got to be within the topics that I talk about anyway. Are you planning on speaking on the new state privacy regulations, CPRA, VADPA, WAPA? I talked about this a bit with regard to the California regulations. I have not dove back into them. By the way, Red 5 Jedi. My car is named Red 5. I'm so distracted by the artwork in your icon because it's stunning and I love it. That's what I should have put here. Whatever is in your icon, that's what should have gone here. It's fantastic. So I will be talking about them as they come up, because I do talk about social media. I do talk about privacy online, and I have talked about the California Consumer Privacy Act, the CCPRA. So yes, At some point, I will talk about them more. When I talked about California's essentially GDPR, I did say more states are going to be doing this. It is going to keep coming. We are going to end up at some point with, I think, a national like GDPR similar to GDPR, just because it's very hard for business entities. And I imagine big tech will be fighting about this. It's very hard for business entities to be like, okay, the rules in Virginia are this, the rules in Washington state are this, the rules in California are that. So the companies tend to default to the most restrictive state, which right now is California. So do I think that we will see a federal regulation? Yes. But did big tech also spend fuck tons of money supporting Democratic candidates? Yes. Do I hope that that doesn't play out on consumer privacy? Yes. Do I have cynical views about that because of how much money is in politics for both parties? Yes. Yes, there is going to be an update. Yes, we're going to talk about the appeal. He's been granted a hearing for an appeal. That'll be in March in the UK. And then I need to touch in on the US case. Okay, I'm just doing a few more questions. That would be very difficult. See comments above about it being really hard to sue government entities. That doesn't mean he can't be held politically responsible and recalled and shit like that. Joe Jersey, this is a fantastic question. Do lawyers study a lawyer they are going against to check out their style? It's very hard to do in civil litigation. This is something that was not as hard to do in criminal litigation because often we all worked in the same courthouse or we knew people who knew each other. Do lawyers ask around about other lawyers? Yes, they do. But when you get to federal cases, it could very well be that Brown and Salty and their firms have never crossed paths before because Salty's firm isn't generally in Washington. Does local counsel in Washington have any knowledge of Brown and his firm? Maybe not. It seems like their firm does largely insurance type stuff, which is not defamation and social media stuff. But yes, lawyers definitely check out other lawyers for reputation, for others' interactions, for the type of cases they've done, for sure. Question off topic, but can you elaborate on a tweet about Ron Richards and did he break the law posting the audio? I tweeted about this on Saturday. Was it Saturday? I was fired up about it, but I was also playing Pokemon. And Ron Richards posted a voicemail that the individual whose voicemail it was said in a tweet under his tweet, I did not want this public. I did not think that it was a good thing to be posting something public. When somebody said that's my voicemail, I didn't want it posted publicly. He did take the tweet down. I didn't like the way that all went down. Again, it's not my place to say how people do things on social. I just think if somebody doesn't want something public, who's also going through this stuff with the Girardi case, that should be respected. And if he had access to that, not through public domain, it shouldn't have been made public, but he did take it down. I appreciate that he took it down when he was, look, it was 5 hours, 6 hours or so after the individual who said, that's my voicemail, I didn't want it public, posted that it was finally taken down. He did reach out to me directly in DM and said, I'm not playing this out publicly. I'm like, you don't have to. These are my thoughts about it. And my thoughts are that posting a voicemail where it seems that you don't have permission to post a voicemail that is not yours, that is potentially somebody else's copyrighted data, shouldn't be done. And I don't like that. And does it seem to me like a bit of clout chasing? That's how it felt to me. Was that his intention? I have no way of knowing what his intention was in posting that. Is he doing everything he can to try to expose the Girardis? Yes. But do I think subjecting others to more anxiety about what they're going through is something that should be considered? Yes. That was a really awkward sentence. I should try again. Do I think that putting people through it more just to expose Tom Girardi is the way to do things? No, but that's not the way I do things. You've got to look at the people cost whenever you choose to do anything. And I don't think that that's the goal when Richards was posting that. I think the goal was expose Girardi, whatever, come what may. So I didn't like it. I tweeted about it. I tweeted that I didn't like it. that I think when you're dealing with this lawyer did this shitty thing, the thought first needs to be trying to make sure that the people going through it, the clients going through it, are at least given some buffer of protection, because this stress that they must be going through, trying to figure out how to navigate the bankruptcy court, who's going to take up their cases, who's going to go to court for them, what they can even do now, where they're kind of stuck in this really awful, stressful limbo. And I think that needs to be treated delicately. And I will call out that should be treated delicately. But I think lawyers can forget that when they've got a sole focus, that going after that sole focus at all costs is not what's helpful from my perspective. Probably not Ron Richards' perspective. He probably thinks that going after Tom Girardi at all costs is fine. I mean, that's speculation. Who knows what he's thinking? But based on that post, that's what it seemed. And that's why I popped off about it on Twitter, because I didn't like it. So you will get my thoughts on Twitter. I really try not to fight. I like to talk things out, but it didn't sit right with me. So that's what it was. So I called it out because it doesn't sit like it with me. It does. It's a beautiful painting. It looks like a piece of art with the plane in it. So I'm going to get to one more question. Thank you guys for asking about it. I'm always happy to talk it out with y'all. So, yeah, do no harm is where lawyers should be. I mean, it's definitely a part when doing stuff on social media. It is something to consider first, from my perspective. And everybody's going to do different things. Didn't Alec Baldwin's daughter share her voicemail? Alec Baldwin's daughter did share her voicemail, but that was a voicemail sent to her, recorded by her, that she chose to share. So if the person who received the voicemail chose to share it, totally different situation than if a third party chooses to share it. For me, totally, well, no, not just for me, legally, totally different situation. I meant civil liability. Okay, thank you. Yeah, civil liability is really hard with government entities. There are, as we've just switched topics again for the last wrap up, there are protections when it comes to being an agent of the government, when it comes to being things even like a criminal prosecutor. There are immunities when you are doing your job. So are there full blanket immunities from everything? No. Are there quite a lot of civil liability immunity doing your job as a government official? Yes. So with government officials doing things like getting into a DUI, those are different. Those are criminal events, and there can be criminal liability there. But getting into civil liability for doing your job, even if people are like, but what, the way you did your job ended up badly, but if it's not fraudulent and it's within the course of duty, there's generally liability for that. So yeah, I did not see that he was on Sherelle's shows, but that, I mean, that's not the take I take with things, and different people are going to do things differently. And I don't have to agree with what all the other lawyers do. And I'll let y'all know how I feel about it. There's a human cost to the things that we talk about. And I think giving voice and compassion and understanding to the human cost is necessary. Even when it comes to things like, Erica Girardi posting on Instagram. I'll tell you guys, like, look, it's a bad look, some of these Instagram posts, but also some of those are sponsored deals that she has contracts for that she's obligated to keep posting. Do I think it's a bad look? Yeah. Am I going to say, what the fuck is she doing? She shouldn't be doing this, and call her names? No. I'm going to say I think it's a bad look, but also there's probably some contractual obligations there. People do things differently. And that's what it is. And that's what it is. You guys, thank you so much for being here on Coffee and Cursey Words. It is time to wrap up. Don't forget to like and do the YouTube-y things. Come follow me on the socials. I'll be on Instagram a little bit more today. I should be back on the YouTubes on Friday live. I might be back on the YouTubes before then if shit goes down, but The best way to know if shit's going down is to follow me on the socials or be part of the text crew. Because if you're part of the text crew, you will get a text when shit goes down. Yes, it's in North America. Enter textemily.com from your mobile and it'll just populate it in for you. And then you're automatically in the text crew. Do it from mobile. You're in. You're good. You're going to get updates from me. Birthday well wishes most of the time. Some days I'm not on my phone and then I'm like, damn it, I didn't get to wish everybody a happy birthday. But if you're in the text crew, you will get it. If you're on social, you will see it. That is the way to stay up when shit goes down. What else? Tomorrow there will be a new video. It is a condensed version of the creator chat I had with Scott. If you guys didn't watch the entire interview, I narrowed down the stories and the conversations that we have for this week's episode of the podcast. So go ahead and that'll be dropped tomorrow. You guys will get it. Go ahead and enjoy. I think I caught everything today. I appreciate so much. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you enjoying the Emily show every week. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys next time. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just textemily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube